always doing too much, man. Boy, it's just alcohol.
What is up, guys? We are going to be doing a most likely to be a serial killer tier list. Jon Jones first. What a coincidence. This guy is most definitely a serial killer.
You know I would absolutely kill you if you ever did something. I would absolutely kill you if you absolutely kill you. Absolutely kill you.
Or certainly, allegedly, in a video game. This guy is literally a horrible person trying to convince everyone else and himself that he's a good person. Does the same mistakes over and over and over again.
I hate you. I hate you.
Let's just be honest. This guy is definitely capable of slashing people. Let's just say that. Colby Covington. I don't buy it for a second that this guy could be a serial killer. I think the first time this guy sees a dead body in real life, he'll just like get a panic attack, start breathing heavily, and just call the cops. Alex Pereira, one of my, if not my favorite champion in the UFC, has this scary blank stare. This man is likely a serial killer. Let's just be honest, guys. Imagine getting stabbed by this guy with his left hand. Oof, oof. Sharp stabs, sharp stabs. Bilal Muhammad is not capable of murdering anyone. If anything, he will just take his victims to a unanimous decision. So, no, I don't see Bilal Muhammad being a serial killer, but I will give him a 50-50. Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, the nicest man in the UFC, is a little too nice. So nice that it's actually kind of concerning, and I do think this man is probably a serial killer. And Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is a lot better at pretending than Jon Jones. Paulo Costa, I can definitely see being a serial killer, but at the same time, he's the type to plan it and really go into detail on how he's going to execute his plan and just pull out at the last second. And he just does that every single time he plans a murder, and he just never ends up doing it. So I'm gonna go with probably not for Paulo Costa. Sean Strickland, I'm gonna go most likely because Strickland's not very good at hiding his bloodthirstiness and, you know, just saying things that you're not really supposed to say out loud. So that's a reason why I don't think he is a serial killer, because if he was, he would be a lot better at hiding it. So I'm going with most likely. Ian Gary, everyone's favorite fighter at the moment. I do not see this guy being a serial killer as well, but I do think he's the type to help a serial killer. Like, he helps him break in, but he just watches in the corner while the serial killer is doing his thing. You know, he doesn't take part. He just sits in the corner and he just watches, okay? But that's pretty guilty enough, so I will give him 50-50. Bo Nickel, I can see being likely a serial killer. But he strikes me as a person that's not, you know, those super violent ones that come at you with knives and chainsaws and stuff. He's the type to, like, murder you with, like, mixing chemicals and shit. You know, put some chemicals on some napkin, put in your face, and say,
Boy, always doing too much, man. Boy, it's just alcohol. Acting like a kid, it's alcohol. Shit.
Li Jingliang. This man is very likely to be a serial killer, right? He didn't get to show off his suit at the press conference. And he hasn't fought since that day, and he got robbed, okay? So, like, who could possibly blame this guy for taking that turn in his life? Very likely to be a serial killer, allegedly, in a video game. Kai Kara France. There's something about this guy that scares the shit out of me. I don't know. He just gives off this weird, dark energy. Dustin Poirier is likely a serial killer. This guy's a sore winner. He's always talking about being humble, but this guy's not humble. He's not that likable. I like him. I love his fighting style, but let's be honest. There's this weird, angry energy that comes out of him. I'm gonna put Dustin Poirier in the likely tier. Charles Oliveira. I can't imagine this guy hurting a fly. Granted, he's beaten the shit out of many amazing UFC fighters. Charles Oliveira is the type to value it as it should be and will not even think about doing things such as taking another person's life. And honestly, the idea of serial killers, Oliveira probably just listens to like gospel music and cries just thinking about the fact that there's serial killers out there and shit. Cyril Gahn is definitely not a serial killer because all he does is play FIFA and not train grappling. So no way, I'm gonna put him in the hell no tier. Israel Adesanya. This guy, you know, he's into some weird shit, if you know what I mean, you know. He's into some weird shit. And if I think that, you know, he's acting upon those thoughts and doing some weird shit, imagine what he's like holding back. Imagine what he's repressing. This guy definitely has thought of murdering Alex Pereira a few times. Kron Gracie is probably not a serial killer because if he was, he would just probably pull guard on all of his victims and not get the kill. Joe Pyfer. This man is most likely a serial killer, allegedly in a video game. There's just something about him. He's so like salty, obviously. You know, Lucas Tracy went at him. He went at Lucas Tracy. It was hilarious. This guy's always in a bad mood. There's something about him, man. I can definitely see this guy taking his pain out on some of his victims in a very aggressive way. Brian Ortega, no, I don't see him as a serial killer. I think he's too busy sharpening his talons and shit. Marvin Vittori. Is Marvin Vittori a serial killer? I don't think so either, to be honest with you. But I do think if you accidentally trick him into eating pineapple on pizza, I do think he will grab the nearest, sharpest object and sprint at you trying to take your life. So I will go 50-50 if you piss him off hard enough. Johnny Walker, I could definitely see being a serial killer. These goofy guys that are always smiling, laughing and shit, these guys are the ones that are repressing their dark inner spirit the most. And I feel like if he really flies off the handle, there's nothing that can stop him. And he's the type to like unalive someone and then do the worm after. Like just do like worm emotes on them. Tony Ferguson. I am going to put in the most likely. Tony Ferguson is the type to actually go on a crazy spree, taking out a whole bunch of people, but actually just like repress his own memories. Like he hallucinates and shit, and he just forgets that he actually did all that shit. So he in his own mind is not a serial killer, even though he probably murdered like 10 people in a video game, allegedly. Leon Edwards, I can't even picture, you know, being a serial killer. So this one's a very easy hell no. Michelle Pereira, I could also see not being a serial killer at all, but I do think if he was, he would murder all of his victims via backflip to the face. Anthony Smith, I can see being a serial killer, but at the same time, he's the type to be a very unsuccessful serial killer in terms of notoriety and shit. And he'll just like constantly just like shit talk on Jon Jones and say how he's not the best serial killer if you take away his each serial killer skill attribute, that he's not that good at being a serial killer, and he's just gonna hate on Jon Jones. So I'm gonna put him in the likely tier. Sean O'Malley, I'm gonna put in the hell no. I can't picture O'Malley with a knife running at someone. Conor McGregor definitely has that weird darkness inside of him, but I don't think he has too much to lose to be a serial killer. But if he didn't, I do think that Khabib would not be alive today. That's all I'm gonna say. Hamzat Chimaev. Okay, Hamzat strikes me as a serial killer, but he's the type with a code. He has a serial killer, but he only goes after other serial killers. So I'm gonna go with very likely, you know. Tom Aspinall. Have you ever been fingered by a serial killer before? I apologize for that impression. It was horrible, but at the same time, I cannot see Tom Aspinall being a serial killer at all. Kamaru Din Usman. I am going to go with probably not. He seems way too nice. He seems like he's always trying to be a good role model, which is, you know, very respectable for his children. And that was it, guys. These are the people I think who are most likely to be a serial killer. Let me know in the comments down below, how would your tier list look like? What did I get wrong? What did I get right? Let me know down in the comments below. Like, subscribe. Bye.